Hey, fight fans, back at you again with another quick video regarding the epic matchup that we had yesterday or last night between Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano. The rematch, we finally had an undisputed champion at 154 pounds. The fight did not disappoint. It was a close fight early on, very contested, high level stuff from the opening round. I had it even after 6 rounds. I know some people had Charlo ahead, maybe 2 rounds. But I had it even. I loved Castano's pressure and his body work. I loved the sharp counters that were coming from Charlo, particularly that left hook. He rocked Castano a couple times towards the end of the rounds, with that left hook. And he also had excellent footwork. I think that's one thing that was a little underappreciated during the telecast, even though it was mentioned once or twice. Really, the way he was just making sure he stayed off the ropes for the majority of the time that he was contesting the fight, and the times that he did get caught on the ropes, he pretty much, to me, won the majority of the exchanges. He ended the exchanges normally with an emphatic, eye-catching punch, which is why I think the judges had it wide for him on the scorecards at the time of the stoppage. Very, very impressive stuff. One thing after the initial 6 rounds, when I had to even, I wondered if Charlo was going to be able to keep that pace up because he expended a lot of energy with the footwork, and all the counters he was throwing were heavy, heavy counters. And on Castano's end, I was wondering when the punishment was going to take a toll. I mean, he was taking some heavy shots to the head, continuing to come in. So I wondered whether he was going to have a breaking point at any point during the fight. I feel like the 7th round was the most important round. That was a round where we started to see Castano slow up just a little bit with his pressure. He started just to get a little, maybe a step behind, and that left him pretty much in what I call no man's land for this fight, which is pretty much at mid-range, which is exactly where he didn't want to be because that put him in perfect range for Charlo to get maximum torque on all those punches he was throwing. Also, I felt he got stung with 2 shots, one left hook during the exchange, and also another sneaky left uppercut. I think that really diminished him. I didn't have him winning a round after that midway point. So pretty much Charlo swept rounds 7 through 10 at the time of the stoppage. And I think that work that he did in the 7th really took something out of Castano and set him up to eventually break him down and win the fight. Stopped him with a left hook, a delayed shot. It's just a reminder of how dangerous Charlo is, that he's keeping his power late like that, and he closed the book on it. So I want to put this out there. You probably saw it a little bit on Twitter yesterday, especially if you follow me. There's no debate now. Jermell Charlo is a top 10 pound for pound fighter. Some people may be willing to go higher than that, but at the minimum, top 10. He's a unified champion. We haven't had a unified champion at junior middleweight since God knows when. And I would dare say he is the best 154 pounder that we've had or seen in boxing since Terry Norris. Um, some people might want to debate that. They'll say Winky Wright. But I think if you look at the fact that he's unified all the belts within 4 fights, and he's pretty much shown everything that you want to see in a pound for pound fighter. We've seen him come from behind in fights like John Jackson and also the Harrison rematch. We've seen him win the majority of his title matchups by stoppage. I think he's fought in 9 title fights, and his record is 7-1-1. 7 KOs and all those wins. He had the one defeat against Harrison, which he avenged with a knockout, and then also the draw against Castano, which he also settled with a knockout. So 5 defenses, undisputed, something Winky's never done. I wouldn't put him above Terry only because Terry has, I believe, 15, 16 title defenses. He was the creme de la creme for a long time in that division, even though he never got the chance to unify. So I would probably not put him above Terry Norris, but that's a conversation because particularly if you look head to head, we know the one Achilles heel with Terry Norris was his chin. We haven't seen that at all with Charlo. So when you look at like head to head matchups, you might think, you could make an argument that you'd have to go back to someone like the body snatcher, Mike McCollum, to fight somebody that actually would probably be favored over Terry Norris. So great, great fighter. Definitely belongs in the top 10 per pound. I will probably put him somewhere between the 7 and 10 range. But I'm not going to make any arguments if you want to go a little bit higher. So now here's the next question. You're undisputed, and because of boxing politics, we know a lot of people don't hold on to that undisputed title very long because you have all these mandatories. You got four, number one, and then number two, you're paying all these sanctioning fees. So a lot of people just get the achievement just to hold on to it, and then within a fight or two, they're gone. They're moving up or looking for bigger matchups. I want Charlo to try and hold on and defend that title for as long as he can. He mentioned going up to 160, but if he's not having any problems, he needs to stay at 154. We've seen, unfortunately, with his brother Jermall, that there's not much available on the PBC side at 160. Big Charlo is basically having to fight Selecki because he can't secure a big matchup. So I think that Jermell will fall into that same situation if he tried to go up to 160. I say stay at 154 and get a mandatory or two out of the way. And while you're waiting, you're going to be building the next fight against the next star or the next potential red hot fighter in the division because there's a few options. Number one, we have Sebastian Fundora, who had a Fight of the Year candidate recently against Erickson Lubin. Give him another fight, maybe two. That's another big matchup right there. I know he knocked Tony Harrison out in the rematch, but we saw how great that buildup was. There's still probably animosity there. It's 1-1. I wouldn't be opposed to a trilogy. That's a potential matchup right there that I think people would see, especially because Harrison is coming off a win against Sergio Garcia. And then you have Tim Tszyu out of Australia that recently made his American debut. Didn't set the world on fire with that fight, but he's a heavy-handed puncher, and you know he can get some knockouts. So I say give him another fight, maybe two. He has a good performance. Bam, you got another matchup right there that people would be ready for. And then the dark horse matchup that a lot would have to go right for, but would be a huge matchup, is Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford mentioned potentially after being done at 147, going up to 154. Should Terrence actually defeat Errol Spence, which is a big possibility, I'm actually favoring Bud to win that matchup. If he beats Spence this year and beats him in emphatic fashion, you already know that Spence and the Charlos are stablemates. They're very close, all out of Texas. You got a perfect storyline right there. Crawford moves up to try and become undisputed in another division to kind of build on his legendary status. And he's going up against a fighter in Jermell who will be trying to avenge what happened to his stablemate, Errol Spence. So that would be an epic instant pay-per-view matchup. I know a lot has to go right, and that would be way down the line. But that's just another reason and another potential opponent that makes sense for Charlo if he stays at 154, which I think he should do. So let me know what you think. Do you agree that Jermell Charlo is the best 154-pounder that we've had since Terry Norris? Or do you think Winky right? Or do you think, maybe you don't rank him? Maybe you don't rank his opponents. I'd love to hear it. And let's also talk about where you feel Jermell Charlo is pound for pound. Do you think he's number 7, number 10 pound for pound? Do you think he's higher than that? Or do you think he still has more to prove in order to get on that list? Let me know what you think. And we can't wait to hear from you guys. Take care. Enjoy your Sunday.